There we go. Now we're recording at 1080p, 60 frames a second. Hello folks, welcome to Netcruzer RC. I'm going to give you an unboxing here today of a new product that just came out on the market. The Dji Mavic Mini. Now this was just announced a couple of weeks ago when I did order it on release day, because I've been waiting for something like this to come out for quite a long time, because it is an ultralight drone. It's 249 grams, which means it does not have to be registered with the government, doesn't have to be licensed. In Canada, we have those rules now where if you fly a model aircraft that's over 250 grams, you have to have a license to ride it, as well as you're restricted by where you can fly it. So with something like this, you're a lot more open-ended on where you can use it, where you can fly it, and you don't have to tell the government when you're going to fly, where you're going to fly, all that stuff. So it's great for that. This is now a shrunk down technology where this is literally the palm of my hand. It's a super light drone, and I'm using the term drone because it will fly autonomously when you let go of the sticks. It has GPS, it has flight sensors. It can also do some very basic maneuvers, cinematic style maneuvers out of the box. This is the Fly More bundle, so really good value here. If you're going to buy a Mavic Mini, I do think it's in your best interest to buy this Fly More bundle, because you're getting a lot more value for money. You're getting 3 batteries, you're getting a battery charger, you're getting the flight blades, you're getting a case, you get a USB charger. It is definitely worth the extra money to buy the Fly More bundle. If you do not, all you get is just the singular drone and the controller and 1 battery, and then you don't even get a charger to be able to charge it. Now, a bunch of the review channels did get this early, so you've probably seen unboxings, you've probably seen reviews already for the past few weeks as this has come out. So I'm going to try and whip through this pretty quick, but I did notice a couple things during my experience with it that some of the other reviewers didn't mention. So I am going to go through that a little bit. This is going to be my own impressions about the quality, the fitment, the design, and the stuff that you get. I just pulled the case out of the box. This is it. This is the whole drone. Almost everything that you need to fly, and more than you actually need, is in here. The only thing that doesn't fit in this case is the prop guards. The prop guards come in this separate package, and they are quite big. I have not installed them, I have not tried them. These prop guards are really for if you're just learning to fly for the very first time. You would put those on, and it's going to just give you that little bit of extra peace of mind that if you do bump into a wall, that you're not going to break a prop or damage the quadcopter, because this quadcopter has no object avoidance built into it. Even though its design looks like it might have sensors on the front, it doesn't. You can fly it straight into a wall, full tilt, and smash it to bits. So you can do that with this. That's the reason why it's so many hundreds of dollars less money than the next level up Mavic, which is the Mavic Air. So this is now the entry-level DJI drone that actually has GPS functionality, which is the Mavic Mini. They've discontinued the Spark, and the Tello does not have any GPS holds. Also in the Fly More packaging down on the bottom, there's a bunch of parcels when you pull this out. So you've got your AC adapter, your 3 batteries, and documentation as well in here. So we're going to put that away because I'm trying to go through this unboxing quickly, because I thought there wouldn't be a lot to talk about, but once I get started, it seems like there always is. This is what you get in the packaging, just in case you haven't seen any other reviewers. I have sort of set this up on my own. I've already taken a bunch of the tape off that it comes with. It all comes baggied and sealed as you get it out of the box. But when you buy the Fly More bundle, you get this really cool adapter, which this turns your 3 flight batteries, which you just kind of pinch them and pull them out, is how you get the batteries out. These are 2S 2400 milliamp batteries, and the flight time on the quadcopter is 30 minutes, which is really good for little light batteries like this. So you put the 3 2S batteries into this charging brick. This allows you to charge each of them in series. It'll go through, it'll detect which one's the lowest one. When you have your batteries in here, it becomes a charging power bank. So you have a USB-A out, a USB micro USB charge in, and you've got your little power. You can have multiple batteries removed and then still continue to use it. It's super useful like that. So you can be flying your drone, you can be charging your other devices off this thing. Really useful. I like that this is included a lot. Then under the charging brick, you get this box, and this box has all of your cables and stuff in it. Here's all the things that you do get in it. So you actually get 3 of these cables, which are what they call the RC cables. These connect from the controller into your phone to get the FPV data feed. You get 2 micro USB charge cables. Unfortunately, this device doesn't use USB-C. All of the rechargeability is micro USB. You also get a little screwdriver in a bag. That's for being able to change your props, as we'll show later. You get 2 additional thumbsticks for the controller, because the controller does have removable sticks. This box I don't need anymore. I just wanted to show you that it all came in one box, and I've been putting it all down into this case, which allows me to have just all of my cables tucked under there. And then I'm also using the power brick that it came with. This is actually a really nice power brick, which you only get in the Fly More bundle. At USB voltage of 5 volts, it puts out 3 amps, and it also does 12 volts, 1.5 amps. So that's a really good charger. Definitely a nice thing in the Fly More bundle. You're out in the field, you might have a computer or something, or if you go travel with this thing, you might want to be able to read the SD card that you have to put into the drone, and there's no way to do that directly off of the drone. So you do need to always insert and remove the micro USB card, which does sit in the back, and I'll show you that later. So good idea to have one of these on hand. This does not come with it, but I'm carrying it with me. And then this box down in here has the 3 extra props in it. I'm just leaving them in the box for protection, because you don't want to have your props damaged as you're putting things in and out. So it all fits in there nicely. You can have everything, all your cables and stuff, for controller sitting up top. Now the controller is pretty cool, where it's got the Mavic style expandability, and something that I didn't notice in the other videos is this is my first Mavic. Just build quality is really nice. So this is a metal extension, so like the hinge is really tight and robust, and the build quality feels really good for it, for being one of the cheaper DJI remotes. The gimbals are a little plasticky, but they feel okay. And on the back side of it, you have the record button, take a photo button, and this allows you to tilt your gimbal up and down, and your antennas do fold up and out. Recharging it is via this cable in the back. So I do have one of the RC cables hooked up. This one is the RC to Lightning for my iPhone. But if you want to recharge the controller, you do have to use this port, which is different looking than you would think. It is a micro USB, but there's a little inscription here about how to plug in a micro USB cable that is squared off and a little bit weird, not standard type port. I really wish they had put a USB-C in here instead. Now the gimbal sticks are stored on the inside here, where you can just pop them out and then they screw in. And then once you have your gimbal sticks connected, you're pretty much ready to go. Power button up top, and the return to home button is up top here. The gimbal sticks are plastic, but they feel okay. Now they've got this little rubber sleeve on the outside of them. And one thing that I did notice is that if you are trying to unscrew the stick to put it away, if you try and grab it by like that, this rubber just spins. So in order to get the stick off, you have to kind of pinch it and hold it from the top while rotating, and then you can get it to screw off. Once you start it going, then you can get it off. That's just something to be aware of. The other thing is that I didn't want to have to be taking the sticks on and off every time I want to put it back into the bag. I'm choosing not to, although it is maybe slightly risking damaging your controller if you do this. But you can just put it in the bag with the stick still on it, and there's enough room where you can close the lid. So that's how much of a gap there is, but you can still totally close this with the sticks on it. And it's just a little bit of extra pressure on the sticks. I wouldn't go traveling, you know, where this is getting beat up a lot with it like that. But if you're just having it around the house and you don't want to have to keep taking those sticks on and off all the time, you can just leave them on, and you can close and store the bag. Now we should talk about the drone itself, right? I haven't even had the quadcopter out of the bag yet. So here it is. This is the size of it in the palm of the hand. Some of the other videos that I saw, you don't really get a good sense of how tiny it is until it's actually in person, but like, it is small. It is a very small drone. It does have a gimbal cover built in, and to get the gimbal cover off, you kind of press it in, and then you tilt forward and pull forward. It has little teeth on the front that you have to kind of hook in. That's just to protect the front camera gimbal. The camera shoots in 2.7K 30 frames a second, or 1080p 60 frames a second as maximum frame rates, or it does shoot pictures as well. I was excited that it can do 60 frames a second. I will show you some of the differences in this video of running this camera in 2.7K versus 1080p 60 mode, as it is a noticeable change in resolution and in kind of motion smoothness, a little bit different than I would have expected. Style of this is designed after the Mavic range, so they have killed off the spark And these little front holes are just dummies. There's nothing in them. They're literally there just for style. They do nothing. And here's how it all looks folded up. On the rear of the unit, the micro SD card slot is here, and you have a micro USB slot here. The micro USB slot is only for charging the battery when it's inside. You cannot pull SD card data off of this port. Anytime you want to get actual flight footage on and off of this drone, you have to remove this card every time. Okay, so getting it ready for flight. Take the gimbal cover off, fold the front arms forward, flip it over, rotate the rear arms back, and now you're ready for takeoff. After you turn it on, that is. Here's the bottom of the drone where you've got your power button, just some cooling vents. These are some of the positioning sensors, which just helps it take pictures of the ground and sense how far away it is from objects so that it can smoothly land and track its position using the GPS, as well as if you're indoors where it doesn't get a GPS lock, it can just hold its position based on what it can see below it. Putting the batteries in, it's fairly easy. All you have to do is you just open up the hatch and you pop the battery out of your unit here. And removing the batteries is a little tricky unless you get used to it. So it's a double. You hold down each side of it while you pinch, and there's a little button, and then you just pull it out. And on the batteries, that's your plug there. So you just have that facing up, and you slide it in, clicks into place. Then when you want to get the battery out, it's again a double. It's 2 fingers. You kind of pinch from the bottom, and you pull it forward, and that's how you get the batteries out. Click the door shut. Done. Just going to turn the controller on first, so press once and then you press and hold until all lights turn on. That turns on the radio. Similar startup sequence for the quad. Press once, press and hold, and you get the DJI noise, and the gimbal does its calibration. If you're a brand new buyer, you want to go and do the firmware update. So you download the DJI Fly app. It's a new app, new to this drone. So download that. It'll pair with the quadcopter. You have to register it. You have to give it an account because even though this is an ultralight, they still want to have your information for GPS tracking, firmware updates, and there is some options to if you want to give them some additional data of where you're flying and just product usage logs and stuff like that, which I choose no to, but you can give them that if you want to. Then you're ready to fly, and I have flown this. I took it for 2 flights today. And the first flight I shot it in 2.7K 30 frames a second, and I must say it looks very good. It's tack sharp. It's almost too sharp. And unfortunately I was flying it kind of midday where I had a lot of sun. I didn't really get a chance to try different kind of shadow conditions. It's also very snowy out already, so everything's snow covered. It's really kind of bleak and nasty out. Very wintry. Not a great ideal scenario for testing at a drone, but you know, that's when this launched, is wintertime in Canada, so we got winter early. That's all I've got to play with. Flying characteristics are very good. It's very, very stable. It'll take off nicely, it'll just hover, it'll hold its position great. If you feel like you're getting in trouble, just let off the sticks and let the GPS do its work. As long as you're looking at the screen and you see you've got a confirmed GPS lock, that's really all you have to worry about. Where you take off from has a GPS location, so you can choose to hit return to home automatically if you want to. I did not do that, but it is an option. In the software in the DJI Fly app, there is an option for setting the return to home altitude, which by default is at 15 meters. If you're around any kind of trees or buildings, you want to go into the settings first and turn that up, put it up to 30 meters, 50 meters, to make sure that when you do get into trouble, before it tries to auto return home, it's going to fly up over everything and then come down. If you just leave it by defaults, it'll try and fly home at 15 meters off the ground and crash into whatever's in front of it because it cannot stop itself. It doesn't have any object avoidance like the other higher end Mavics do. I tried flying it in all 3 modes. You've got your P mode, which is positioning mode, which is kind of the middle type of yaw and tilt axis for control. Then there's also sport mode, which just gives you a little bit more motor power, a little bit more tilt axis for going faster. And then there's C mode, which is cinematic, which really slows everything down. And if you're trying to get really nice, smooth panning shots or getting really artistic shots, you want to be in cinema mode, as that makes it a very docile quadcopter for getting perfectly nice panning shots. So we're on P mode. That's full throttle up, full throttle down. If I change it over to sport mode, full throttle up, full throttle down, that's a bit better. And then cinematic mode is full throttle up, which actually doesn't change your altitude elevation much, but it's going to change your forward axis quite a bit. So that's as quickly as I can pan around in cinema mode, which is too slow. So I'm going to change that back to P so I can get it back. So it flies just like a big quad, just like my old quad used to be. Flies very much like that. It has no collision avoidance. That's one thing you got to worry about, is that there's no collision avoidance. But wow, it's really, really stable. See how well I can manually land it. It won't let me go lower than that. You just kept holding down and it will land. The footage that I showed you was in 2.7K, 30 frames a second. Then after that, I took a second flight and I tried out the 1080p 60 frames a second. Since I do a lot of stuff with RC cars, I really like shooting in 60 frames a second because I find that for fast motion it looks better. And I always typically upload to YouTube in 60 frames a second. I just think it looks better. In my opinion, most monitors, most televisions are 60 hertz, 60 frames a second. I'm uploading in 60 frames a second video. It's like a one-to-one match. I think, me personally, I think that that looks the best. Now, 60 frames a second in some cameras can look bad. There's something up with the 60 frames a second. When I was playing it back and looking at it, for fast motion pans at 60 frames a second, it didn't look as smooth as 60 frames a second should. So I'm going to play with that around a little bit more in the future. But the other thing I noticed is that when shooting in 1080p mode, the 1080p was a lot softer footage than the 2.7K. So I'm getting more into the techie stuff now, even though this is kind of targeted as RC video. This is really a tech product with a camera. It's a flying camera. So I want to talk about the tech specs of the camera, as that's primarily what I'm going to be using it for, is a flying camera. I do want it to be using for chasing RC videos, for getting artistic shots, and having fun with just getting some alternate perspectives in videos that I couldn't get before because the laws have changed. In the past, I used to fly my big quadcopter to get some aerial shots when I wanted to, but since the laws changed, I really haven't flown anything since. Now I've got an ultralight, I can fly again legally, I can get the footage that I want without worried about getting fined. That's awesome. Thank you, DJI, for making this product. Excellent that you put it in at the 249 gram mark. So I tried the two video modes, the 2.7K and 1080p, and then while I was also in 1080p, I tried some of the quick shots. That's some of the pre-programmed flight modes that allows it to do some maneuvers. Now that's your first taste of active tracking in this software and on this drone, where you can highlight yourself or likely an object. I'll test that later, testing it on objects, but it allows you some very limited tracking of a subject while the drone does a maneuver. So I tried the one where it hovers in front of you and then does a backup, a droney, I think. Then I tried the rocket where it shoots up and up in front of you while tilting the camera down. And then I just flew it around a little bit manually. So those were the first flights I did. Overall, stability, speed, responsiveness, all ace. I didn't do a range test. I'll try and go out to some better locations, more scenic locations for filming later on, and then we'll do some further testing with it. But mostly I just bought this as a tool for my channel, but since this is a new drone on the market, I will likely make a couple more videos specifically about this, just to show a bit more about it as my experiences with it. You probably don't want to be flying this in any kind of rain or snow or anything because the ports are exposed. Why could they have not put these ports under this door? This door is already here. I think it would have been nice if the cards and stuff was behind the door instead of out in the open. USB-C would have been nice. SD card behind the door would have been nice. Better quality to 60 frames a second and sharper 1080p is what I'm hoping will happen in future firmware updates, as DJI is very good for doing software updates and improving features, so we'll see how that happens. And overall, I think it's very good value for money. The pricing of this being a $450 US Fly More package, $350 if you just get the drone and the controller and a battery. Very good entry-level price point for a cinematography style drone, especially that it's an ultralight. There's no other maker on the market that has these type of features in an ultralight that's under the government regulated weight limits. If you do end up crashing it because it has no object avoidance, the props are screwed on, and you just take the little screwdriver that they give you and you pop out those 2 Phillips screws and then you put these on. So they're not quick clip anything, but they are easy enough to service. So you want to carry almost everything with you in this little bag, just in case you have a mishap. Service it if you need to. If you do break a prop, you got to have that little screwdriver with you, or you won't be able to change the props. Now when you do go to put it back away in the bag, you've got the problem of the props just kind of flopping there, and there's no good way to clip them together, so you just have to kind of hold them in place while you're putting it down in. So you got to get your props into place, and then you clip your gimbal cover on. Thing I did see that was kind of ingenious is a beer cozies, like a 355 milliliter Pepsi can, Coke can style, beer can style cover. These fit in that, so you can pop it in one of those and it'll hold all the props and stuff in place. If you just want to throw it in your pocket or whatever, that's a nice little tip. I'm probably going to get one of those just so I can do that. Careful when you're putting it down back into the bag, because you want to make sure that your props are actually tilted in the position that they should be. Then you just pop it down into place. One thing about the batteries is I do not think they are smart batteries, so if you do charge them all up, I don't think they have that ability to discharge themselves like some of the other DJI batteries do in the higher end drones, where if they detect that they're fully charged for more than a week or something, they'll go into a storage mode. Don't count me on that. I gotta look into it, but I wouldn't leave these fully charged all the time forever. Alright guys, so that's the DJI Mavic Mini. It'll be a long-term tool on my channel, so I will be using this for drone shots in the future and also more content about this itself. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new around here, subscribe. If you want to talk to me, leave a comment down below. If you do want to pick up one of these, I'll put links in the description. I am a DJI affiliate. If you click the links in the video description, then if you buy anything off the DJI store, I do get a small kickback. So if you're looking for anything that they make, DJI Mavics, Phantoms, Osmo Action, Osmo Pocket, DJI has expanded beyond drones now. They make excellent action cameras. Any of the footage that you saw of it taking off externally was on my DJI Osmo Action. It does really well. It's up there as the GoPro competitor. It actually is a really good camera. Okay guys, thanks for watching.